We're back.
We're back, round 2, man. Ready.
More than just back. Back again with the same episode, but also back in general. Back in general. We had a little audio issue pointed out to us. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've fired up the old podcast equipment, so we apologize. I'm sure we're going to run into more technical difficulties in the near future, so you have to bear with us. But until then, welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the Xhale Spearfishing podcast, or just the Xhale podcast for shorter.
Boom. We're here.
My name is Eric Schraus, and we're here with Rodman Lees as well, from Ballast Co., Ballast Inc.,
Ballast Spearfishing.
Ballast LLC.
Ballast Spearfishing LLC for long.
What's the short version?
Ballast.
Boom, there it is. Make some cool gear, lifestyle equipment, products.
Gloves, pole spears, UV hoodies, shorts, board shorts, T-shirts, stickers.
Backwoods hats. Nah, we should carry those. I bet you we'd sell some.
I think if you took the font, made it like Backwaters, and like made like a whole fake Backwoods logo.
Backwash. But no, check out Ballast. They are on Instagram, but the company has recently been revitalized.
Boom. This ain't 2016 no more.
This ain't 2016 no more. So the Instagram, if you look at it today.
Last post by 2016.
Yeah, it might be a little out of date, but keep an eye on it. You know,
next week.
It's coming back up. If you want to check out some of their products in person, we got all the stuff here at the Xhale store, which you have seen before, but now seeing in its current, slightly updated state. So got some new decorations.
Looks good, man. New paint.
It's a little bit bigger. Took some walls out. I don't know.
The paint on this wall back here looks really good, man.
That came out good.
That came out real good.
But yeah, we have some of those Ballast stuff here. So we've got a bunch of board shorts and hybrid shorts, all kinds of cool stuff. So come check those out.
Boom. All right. So back podcasting again. We were coming into fall. Was October 17th today. So we in the fall. We were falling. And so we figured to talk about winter diving, fall diving, and what the shop's doing this winter. And so figured start with the shop. And when you're thinking about like what do retail people do during the shop, well, they have Christmas parties, right? And
I'm paying attention. I'm just pulling the stream up to make sure it's not screeching again.
I appreciate that. And when you're thinking about like what
money
sounds good. All right, so you want to tell them what you're doing
for Christmas?
For Christmas,
I tell you what we're not doing.
What are you not doing?
Every dive shop, I don't know if it's a Florida thing. I'm sure they do it other places. Every dive shop does a Christmas party. It's nothing cheesier than an over-glorified Christmas party. So what are we going to do? An over-glorified, cheesy giveaway. No, we're going to be doing...
A giveaway?
Not just a giveaway. Not a giveaway at all. We're not giving anything away. It's the season of giving, but we're not giving anything out. What we will be doing is 12 days of raffled off items, and we're not talking just your everyday shirt, hat, whatever, mask, defog. New product alert, Xhale defog.
Full strength,
power and vitality.
Yeah.
No, we
if
are
you
not
come into the
away.
shop and tell Eric where that slogan came from, you get a free bottle.
All right, so just to clarify that, for power and vitality is the slogan we're referring to.
Yeah, there you go. First one to come in and tell us where that slogan came from.
You know what it's from.
Yeah, if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. But no, we're going to be doing 12 days of raffle items, and these are not going to be cheesy things. They're pretty legit. We might mix in one or two cheesers just because we run out of money. because the whole point that we're doing here is this is shop funded. We're not getting any product given to us by suppliers. Xhale / myself is fronting everything, and we're going to be raffling those things off. So we are going to be selling raffle tickets. The goal is to be able to cover the raffle items through the sales of the raffle tickets, but it's going to be fun. We got some big stuff on the table. I already told you one of them.
What'd you say?
I'm going to let you tell them.
Gotcha. So not just one of them, man. We've kind of talked about it, and I think Eric's severely underselling how cool this is going to be. Eric and I have both worked at a competitor dive shop, and one of my jobs at that old dive shop was just hounding suppliers for free stuff to give away, and it'd be like, we want to support our customers, so give us free stuff. It felt very disingenuous when I was trying to do that. So when Eric approached me about with this idea, I was like, look, here's the deal. We want to make it about we've said it a million times kind of behind the scenes, like building a community. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but like we want to actually give stuff back to or maybe that's not the right words, but support the community, and we want to do that, not beg suppliers to do that for us. And so Eric came through and we kind of walked around the shop and said, what would be some like rad things to get? What would you be fired up on if you saw it in a raffle, and not some crazy high margin defog or something silly. Like let's make these like real things. And I was like, walk around the shop, I'm like, the first thing that's got to go is a Koa twin roller. That thing is huge. Like, not only does it is it physically huge, it's got a huge price tag on it. It's like a $1,500 gun. The thing is just absolutely gorgeous, beautiful blue water. Double roller with you can see it right, that big donger on the end right there, all the way in the front. There you go, Eric. Dude, that thing's freaking sweet. It's right? A $1,500 gun, and we're like, that's Eric's buying it and giving it away in the raffle, which is freaking badass. And then we're like, all right, well, what else? Well, there's a pair of Alchemies right above my fingers up there, and so we'll do those Alchemies too. I imagine there's gonna be a wetsuit in there. I imagine there's gonna be a bunch of cool stuff. I don't want to let all the cats out of the bag on what exactly is going to be in that raffle. Maybe
we don't have any other suppliers giving us stuff, but maybe we can swing some ballast stuff in there.
Yeah, ballast will definitely throw down as part of just
we'll do like a ballast day.
Ballast will sell you whatever you want to put in there, bud.
Is. I guess that's fair. If I'm buying it from all the other suppliers, I might as well buy it from
What
you.
are friends for,
I might as well buy it from you.
But there'll be a bunch of really cool stuff in that raffle. You can get tickets online or in person. If you win it, obviously we'll take care of shipping, and unless it's that I imagine I'm speaking on behalf of Eric right now. Imagine if you win that twin roller in Australia, Eric's gonna be pretty pissed.
Depends how many raffle tickets we sell for it.
And the way the raffle is going to work is obviously like Eric said, you buy a ticket, but if you buy that ticket on day 1 of 12 and you don't win, you're not out of luck. Those numbers will just recycle. All those numbers will go into one big pot, and Eric will be pulling numbers as the days go on. So
you're not just buying for one day at a time.
Yeah,
so
but
if you want to buy, if you really want that Koa double roller, and you buy $1,000 worth of tickets for it and don't get it, you're gonna get something else. Your $1,000 ain't going to nothing.
I bet you if you put $1,000 in it, you're gonna get it.
But
that's probably a good strategy though. Is like if you are gonna put $1,000 in for the Koa roller, wait for the day the Koa roller goes and buy all your tickets that day, so you're not getting like nitpicked on the dang carbon fins or any of the other lesser prizes. So there will be cool stuff all in there. I'm stoked. I think it's an awesome way to do it. And it's not that we don't want, or it's not that Eric doesn't want to have a party. Not, God knows I always want a party, but
we're gonna do a different party.
But we're gonna do a little different.
Christmas parties are overrated.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it's 2022. The party to get into is the Xhale Spearfishing Friendsgiving party.
Yeah.
That's the
word
on
one.
The street, dude.
You gotta be on the list, I think.
Word on the street, yeah.
Yeah.
You think you don't even know about the list.
You don't even know.
Nobody even
Come
knows.
by and see if you're on the list or not.
You won't even know till you get here.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's kind of where we were thinking. About Friendsgiving is just get a bunch of people together. We'll cook up a bunch of food. Bring if you shot some stuff. We're gonna be talking about what's good to shoot out here, especially in November.
Yeah.
Get some fish. It's deer season. Bring some deer meat.
Lord knows we have some deer meat.
We got some freaking
to put out in the world.
I grilled up some backstrap last night.
Good.
I think, dude, it's the best venison I've ever eaten.
Oh, man. I've been itching to shoot one.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't tried any Sika.
Yeah, so that's what I got was a Sika.
You shot a Sika hind.
Doe, aka doe, yeah. Female.
I shot a Sika stag last year. Actually, I made Sika burgers, sliders at a catch and cook event, which Friendsgiving is essentially going to be one of the catch and cook events that we've done in the past. So anybody who's been to one of those knows what the vibe is. But yeah, since I don't actually dive anymore, instead of bringing fish, I brought a bunch of ground Sika meat and made these freaking bomb Sika sliders.
I was blown away. I couldn't find my temperature probe, so I was just eyeballing it on the grill. I was a little nervous, man, but man, it came out perfect. And I think Sarah and my wife like definitely fired up on it. But hasn't eaten a ton of venison, so she was kind of like, all right, let's see, open-minded, but
see what that gamey vibe is.
I was stoked that we were able to like slam dunk it, and she was delicious. Like we ate every bit of it that I had thought out.
Nice.
I've only done the hamburger off of that so far.
The stag that I shot was like rutting like crazy when I killed it, and just very similar. They call them like mini elk.
Yeah.
And everything that elk do when they rut, they do the same thing. So they're like peeing all over themselves, but it's not just pee.
Oh, it's
scent
like pee.
Yeah, it's like deer syrup. You know, it's got some eau joie to it.
Yeah.
And when I was cleaning it, that's all I could smell the whole time. And the meat tasted ruddy.
Yeah.
But everyone I gave it to said it was fantastic. But I think the smell was just like so penetrated into my sinus tissues that when I started eating the meat, it's like there was like a brain connection there.
I did not have that problem. It was so freaking good.
Yeah. Well, if your hind was rutting, that'd be an issue.
It is 2022, my man. So Friendsgiving, you never know what you're gonna get. Bring your own beer, bring your own food. It's just like going over to your buddy's house. Just come over, hang out with some old friends, maybe make some new friends. Whether you've been diving forever, you're just getting into diving. It's always a good time. The last one we got maybe 40 people.
Yeah.
Tent out front, party in the back.
Yep. We had a grill. We had a Traeger and a big deep fryer going out back.
Nice.
Which was a good combo.
Yeah.
And then somebody came. What was that guy's name? Somebody came and set up shop right in front of the window. Brought a full table, a little grill, and was making sheep's head sliders. Like just set up shop out front. I'd never met the guy before. Maybe I did at a previous catch and cook, but just set up shop. Brought everything. Had a full like gourmet setup going. Dude's
what
like
a boss.
Yeah, I think he's like actually a chef. Like
yeah.
A legit chef, and made some freaking awesome sheep's head sliders.
Sheepshead gets a bad. It's on the list. Sheepshead gets a bad rap, but
It's on the list.
Oh yeah,
Nice. That's my kind of spearfishing, dude.
right there.
That's my kind of spearfishing.
All right. So Friendsgiving. We haven't picked a date. We're waiting on permits and all that kind of good stuff. But
Keep an eye on the Xhale spearfishing Instagram page.
Yeah, all
that's
that
where it'll be
social
updated.
media. But it's always a really good time. It's always super casual. The impetus behind is that the right word? The spark behind it, I guess, is Eric and I think we're both members of the Palm Beach Freedivers Club. Whenever that was years and years and years ago.
I was never a member.
But you went at least to some of the meetings.
I had been to some of the like meetings where they had people speaking.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
The speaker event was those are like the best ones. And
Yeah.
And
I went and listened to Ryan Myers
there you go.
years and years and years ago.
Did you go to the Forest one? Forrest spoke too, which was
I might have.
Myers was awesome, dude. That guy's like, it's funny because he's such a cool guy in person. Like, I wasn't sure how he'd be like up on stage with a mic in his hand.
He does good in those
But
situations.
he did
Yeah.
really good. But basically, I was kind of disillusioned with it because it turned into just being about the club and not about hanging out or spearfishing. It was like people were getting hung up on bylaws and all kinds of BS. And I was like, man, this doesn't need to be a club. This just needs to be like a regular gathering. And forget making it a club with bylaws and all the other kind of BS that brought along. Like, there's the star of the show right there. Shop Dog Daisy. I just get some buddies together and talk shop about diving and hanging out. And I think with how much people are like lost in social media, whether it's and I see that like across all age ranges, you know, that people give like high schoolers a hard time about being sucked into their phones, man. But I see more. You drive down 95. Freaking half the people I see are sucked into their phones on social media.
I saw a guy doing it today. I was driving back from the hunting camp.
Yeah.
In a Tesla, which has a self-driving feature that he wasn't using.
Yeah, right.
And was just like all over the place. It's like, come on.
What's the point of that?
You literally bought a vehicle specifically for texting and driving.
Yeah. So not to go off a too terrible tangent, I have a Toyota Sienna minivan, and I got the comma.ai. It's a website, comma.ai, or type that into YouTube. The self-driving deal with that is freaking on point. It's a game changer. I absolutely love it. I can't wait for widespread adoption of self-driving.
I wish I had that on the truck when we were driving
to Colorado.
34 hours to Colorado a week ago.
So... maybe this is whatever. We're on the podcast. So I made a bad joke in front of strangers the other day, nice. And but it was about that. We were talking that trip. You know, I was like, oh man, we just drove like 30 hours out to Colorado. It's like, oh, how'd you do it? So I just like looked at. We're at a little kid's birthday party, and I was like, oh, whole bunch of cocaine. We're strangers, so they had no idea what to make of it. But it's a good way to just gauge people. You say something ridiculous and like just see how they respond. If they're like, "Hell yeah, brother!" If they're like clutching their pearls, like either of those you want to avoid. You want to hang out with people that laugh at jokes like that. And they laughed, so it was nice. A good sign. But all right, Friendsgiving. Check.
Rodman's bringing
drug jokes into the podcast, Lynch.
I was gonna say to Friendsgiving. You can bring drug jokes to Friendsgiving. No drugs.
No drugs. Yeah. No drugs.
Bring whatever else you want.
Yep. And so Christmas party, Thanksgiving, that's like wintertime activities. Wintertime diving. So that's all on land stuff. In the water. The water is a-changin'. I was out Sunday yesterday, so October 16th. The water was not cold. It was hot out.
Roger that.
But even with the Gulf Streams, as close as it is here, our water gets colder. I don't want to say it's cold water diving because someone in like Norway is gonna call me a sissy, but water gets down average in the winters 71 ish. So that means we have like 68, days in the high 60s, which is pretty cold. And so dusting off that wetsuit, making sure that your wetsuit's not completely compacted. I'm making sure it's got no rips, that it fits properly. You put on that holiday weight. You still want to be able to breathe in your dang wetsuit.
If your wetsuit does have a rip, within the past year, I've gotten pretty handy at fixing wetsuits. So bring by the shop.
There you go. You also sell a pretty good variety of them.
Yeah, ideally, if you have a rip in your wetsuit, just come buy a new one.
Yeah.
So I don't have to deal with fixing it. But I will fix it.
I brought my waders in for Eric to fix.
There you go.
Yeah.
If you have waders,
Bryce, yeah,
with a hole in them, bring
yeah,
them by.
my went duck hunting with one of our buddies.
Yeah,
and he freaking ripped the waders.
That's what you get for going.
We had so much rain. I jumped off the kayak thinking that I was good, dude. It came within a freaking half a mil of flooding my waders. I was so lucky. It was deep. But
Bryce is the nicest guy in the world, but he'll put a hole in your waders.
He is the nicest. I left my kayak at his house, and he has not mentioned anything about it. He's very, very nice.
I'd keep riding that one out.
I'm going to. All right. So water gets down in like the 68, 74 range, averaging like 70, 71. Yeah. What wetsuit are you riding through the winter?
I typically would always advise just running a 3.5 open cell.
That 3.5. So you're talking the Rife. You're selling that.
So I feel like you get hung up on the 3.5 a lot.
Well, you're the one throwing out a 0.5 of a mil.
Well, that's
fraction of a mil.
That's what they are. There's I feel like there's very few companies nowadays making a 3 mil open cell. They're all listed as 3.5s.
Really?
Yeah. So all the Waihana open cell suits are 3.5. All the Rife open cell suits are 3.5. I remember the old Torellis were all 3.5. All open cell. But closed cell they list as 3. So Waihana has 3.5 for their open cell suits, 3 mil for their closed cell suits. I don't know why.
You throwing the calipers on them bad boys yet, or what?
I'm sure if you threw calipers on it, it wouldn't measure to 3.5. Nor would a 3 measure to 3.
What do you think? You think it's a little fatter, a little narrower? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to see, I guess. I don't know if they measure it with the fabric on it.
Imagine it's super consistent, though.
I think the thickness of the neoprene is super consistent.
Yeah.
Or pretty consistent.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Maybe after you've dove it a bunch, you'll get some inconsistencies, but like off the shelf,
it's pretty. You know how they get a piece of neoprene?
They hotwire it, right?
I don't know if I don't know how they cut it, but it does. I mean, they make a brick of neoprene. It is a brick of rubber, and they just slice and butter slabs.
Maybe it's just like a giant deli slicer that there's ham hocking that thing into.
Just, ow.
Yeah.
I don't know how they cut it.
I imagine like some sort of hot knife deal.
It comes off a brick.
Which is pretty cut cool. Off the brick.
I feel like
there's a drug joke in there somewhere for sure.
I feel like that would be a video that would do well on one of those like satisfying
YouTube
videos. Yeah. Open cell 3.5 is what I'm wearing in the wintertime most of the time.
Yep.
I think that's the most versatile suit. If we're talking about your average spearfisherman / woman, most people are only going to buy one suit. They're not going to really own multiple suits. If you are going to own multiple suits, I would get a real thin suit and then a 3.5.
Especially for Florida, especially like if you're shopping in person at the shop,
and a 3 is going to be fine too. Even a closed cell 3 is going to get you by in the wintertime.
Yeah.
An open cell 3, 3.5, whatever you want to call it, is going to be a better wintertime suit. Closed cell 3, I think, is going to be a little more versatile all around.
I think where a lot of people get cold is switching spots. And then once you're chilled, it's really hard to come back from being chilled.
Yeah.
So, like, throwing on, like, a raincoat or, like, a good windbreaker in between spots, even, like, over your wetsuit, because it's that evaporative cooling, you know, that really gets people. So I'll see people, like, shivering on the boat, then jump back in the water. You know, it's like, man, you're never going to, like, warm all the way back up. One
of those surfer
suits
are really nice.
Yeah.
I should look in and get some of those here. Something like that.
But yeah, like a beanie on your head, and then like a wind. I just throw on I have like this cheap raincoat that packs down pretty small that I got from Costco.
Yeah.
And I just keep that in my dive bag, and I'll throw that on in between spots, and it makes a world of difference. Not, you know, because even if you're not like out of the water that long, if you're running on the boat, you get that wind, and you're like wet and wind, man.
Sure.
It gets you pretty quick.
It evaporates off that fabric really quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, all that being said, I'm a 3 wetsuit guy. I own 3 suits. I'm very happy that I have
You own a dive shop, so
yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Is I'm very happy that I've got the ability to own 3 suits because it makes life really nice.
Yeah.
Having the right suit for the right situation. I found myself wearing a 5 mil last winter time.
Who makes it?
It is the Ranger Green closed cell 5 mil from Waihana.
Closed cell?
Closed cell 5 mil.
Wow.
And it's super comfy.
Nice.
Love it. You size that thing right, and you're in the game.
5 mil's thick, girl.
It's thick, especially with fabric on both sides of it. But closed cell suits have come.
Is it regular closed cell, or is it like fuzzy and like that?
Somewhere in between.
Gotcha.
Somewhere in between. It's not like that classic orange, speckled orange Henderson interior, you know, which I've never really liked.
Yeah.
And that's always been an issue with closed cell suits is flexibility, right?
For sure.
So you gotta really make sure to size a closed cell suit correctly. But closed cell suits have come a long way. I don't know.
Well, look at closed cell suits in the surf industry are insane. Like a good rip curl closed cell suit feels like butter. Like it feels just as good as the highest end open cell freedive suit. They're
and
chest zip.
All scuba suits are closed cell.
But scuba suits are. You can't compare a scuba suit to a surf suit. No,
for sure.
Scuba suits
there's
are
different construction to them. Like
they're pretty crappy.
When you're scuba diving, you're generally like in a neutral position, floating around. So
and even your legs, you're not moving that much. Like it doesn't really affect you. Like
if you look at a like brand new scuba suit hanging on the shelf, like it looks like it's got a body in it already.
Yeah, and wear matters a lot more because you're like carrying around a BC. So like your scuba suit like will work for freediving, but it is not designed for a surf suit would work better for freediving than a scuba suit,
probably
by far.
But even a surf suit, they are generally made out of a little bit stiffer neoprene than a freedive suit would be, but they build in a lot of flex zones in them.
Gotcha.
So you're like high movement areas, so like around your shoulders, around your neck, at the waist where you're doing a lot of movement like that. They build in a lot of flex zones in them for that. Whereas freedive suits, the whole thing is a flex zone.
Yeah, the less seams on a wetsuit, the better for like warmth and stretch.
But I was bombing around in that 5 mil last year, man. And I liked it. It was really nice.
Awesome.
I find a 3.5 does me really well down to about mid 70s. Let's say right at about 75. I can go lower.
Yeah.
And be okay.
Yeah.
But I'd rather be comfortable than okay.
For sure.
So anything lower than that, I'm go ahead and diving into that 5 mil.
Nice.
I want to be comfy.
What are you chasing out there once you get all comfy? What are you going after in the winter?
Lane snapper,
Snapper open all year. So
big lane snapper guy.
Good, some sand perch.
No, so you've got a list of fish over there, and
Yeah.
how many fish are on that list? Let me ask you that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5?
4 and a crustacean.
4 and a crustacean. I know 2 of the fish on that list are your high value target fish.
Yeah.
I love a good high value target.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat. Like,
Yeah.
a little more exciting. Instagram gets a few more likes with them. But there's some low value targets out there that are high tummy point value.
A high tummy point. So I got an uncle. If you come into Xhale, on the ceiling, he's got all these antique guns, and one of them is a Palm Beach rifle, which I mean probably gets the most attention because it looks so crazy. My uncle's the one who gave it to me. I'm got it on display here at the shop.
Scotty.
He has been diving forever. Call him Uncle Barnacle. He's just a salty individual.
Uncle Barnacle.
Uncle Barnacle. He's just kind of salty and a hard exterior and kind of some,
Got some feathers that come out of
he
him.
kind of does, dude. Not gonna lie.
Filter feeding with that ear hair.
Yeah, and he shoots his fish. He shoots his lunch. Spearfishes his lunch more than he buys lunch. He's out there all the time.
That's awesome.
And he's an amazing chef, like home chef. And so people eat whatever he has, expecting like some crazy fish because he's prepared it so well. And then they're always like, "What kind of fish is this?" It just says fresh. What kind of fish is that? Oh, it's fresh fish, man. He like doesn't want to say because it's sand perch and mullet and little baby barracudas and like
it all eats.
Yeah, I don't know what the size limit on barracudas are. FWC, don't look into Uncle Barnacle, but
I'm sure.
But he's diving. He's mostly in the intercoastal.
I'm sure the FWC doesn't want to know much of what Uncle Barnacle has been up to his whole life cycle.
That's about right. About right. The
you don't get a name like Uncle Barnacle without a few wildlife violations.
Yeah, that's fair. And it's funny because he's like a pretty like. I don't know. He's just a barnacle. Pretty by the book, but then at the same time, like, not by the book at all.
Sheep's head, man.
He's by his own book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's by his own book. But a lot of time, that book and the real book line up.
Lives by the scripture of the sheep's head.
Yeah. Oh, dude, he is a... Flow Motion came out with a shirt with a sheep's head on the back of it. And I got it for him for like Christmas one year, and he blew his mind that anyone would ever put a sheep's head on a shirt. But man, he was so fired up on it. Like I've never seen him more excited in my life.
That was one of my favorite shirts. I bought one and wore it out, man.
Yeah.
That shirt got a lot of interest.
Right? Because you really never see sheep's head getting like promoted that hard.
Flow Motion is a cool. Are they still around?
I hope so.
I hope so too. They made some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Good designs. Bring back the sheep's head. If you guys don't have it anymore, bring back the sheep's head.
Right?
Not that anybody from Flow Motion will hear me say that.
But a good target species, though, is cobia. So I used to always consider cobia like a springtime fish. Come March, April, particularly March, I was geared up for cobia. Like I had cobia on the brain. But last November, we went out targeting them, and the cobia dang lost their minds. There were cobia everywhere last November, so I'm kind of like chomping at the bit now to get back out there and come to Friendsgiving. You might be getting some cobia.
Nice. Yeah, we get 2 like solid waves of cobia as they're moving through their migration path, right? So they come down from up north, following cool water. There is definitely a temperature range that they like to be in. So if you're on the east coast of Florida and you want to target cobia, pay attention to water temperature. Get out there on the days that you're noticing big drops in water temp. Sometimes it can happen even in a day. We'll get like just a big push of cold water that comes down, and what's coming in that water, big wave of cobia. And we definitely see a big spike at the beginning of winter, like right around this time.
Yeah.
And then another one towards springtime.
Yep.
And that's all those fish migrating down, dispersing out into the Gulf of Mexico, and I'm sure other places as well. I think that they go all the way down to like
around 76 degrees, man.
Around 76 degrees for sure, and lower.
That little 75, 76, 77. I could be wrong, man. This is like you're getting my 2 cents on this.
I have found the range to be a little lower personally. Not that you won't find fish in those mid to high 70s, but I find 75 and under, like let's say 68 to 75 is where I see like the schools. When you get those days where the viz is not, you don't want to really go diving.
Yeah.
The water temperature is 69, 70 degrees, 72 degrees, and it's just, the water looks like winter.
Yeah.
Those are when we see the big schools of cobia.
Nice.
Little
big
green.
School of a lot of kingfish and that stuff too, man.
For sure. Yeah, the kingfish like that same water, that same look.
Yeah.
It looks real like great white sharky.
There's some great whites out there.
That's a fish you should have on your radar for the wintertime as well. Last year we saw, not me personally, but just in general, a lot of great whites in the area.
February.
So, keep your head on a swivel. We're seeing, seems like every year we're getting more and more sightings. I don't know if that's just because there's more and more people out, more and more eyeballs on the water.
I think they've always been here. I just think that you said I saw a great white. They'd be like, dude, that's just a giant. Yeah. You don't know what you're talking about, or maybe that was a mako, or But now with GoPros and everything else, it's harder to argue.
I have no idea if this is true or not, but I feel like great white numbers have been a little higher than they were. California's been seeing like record numbers of great whites along the shoreline all year.
They
same with South Africa and places. People are seeing them all the time on the shorelines.
They're doing tours, sightseeing tours, where they spot them from planes in Maine, and they're like, you can get to like a couple feet from in like little rubber zodiacs, but like 6 or 7 in a tour, and they're doing like several tours a day.
Huh.
I was talking to a guy from O-Search, the people who like tag.
Must be an expensive tour.
I imagine.
Paying for them flight hours.
Yeah. I don't know. But I imagine plane maintenance is expensive, but I imagine it's like a little Cub or a little tiny Cessna, and which is burning like pump gas and. Yeah. But whatever. I don't know how much that would cost. I imagine the pilot is pretty expensive as well. But maintenance on those planes ain't cheap. Like that's what'll get you. You don't want to stall out. What's crazy is how old planes are, like private planes. Have you ever looked into that?
Oh yeah,
dog. Like buying like an early 70s.
Everybody's flying planes from the 70s.
Yeah, an early 70s plane's like expensive. You ever driven an early 70s car? You're like, God damn, technology's come a long way. But them things are flying over my house every goddamn day. I'm waiting for one of them wings to fall off and go through them, give me a new skylight.
It is pretty wild how old planes are.
Old.
But they rip.
Apart.
There's not much to it, though, I feel like there's more
to a car? I guess axles?
Other than, like, instruments. Obviously you got a few more instruments in an airplane. But,
you got seats. You got sheet metal exterior, a steel frame, crappy air-cooled engine. Like, what's more in a car?
Not a lot of, like, engine mechanics going on, though.
We rebuilt that Volkswagen bus. Drive. I feel like that Volkswagen bus and a Cessna are exactly the same thing.
They're probably pretty similar.
Freaking magnesium engine block and shit. I was ready for that.
Air cooled. Not much going on mechanically as far as the engine goes. It's like they're all like very basic, very reliable engines where like even if one cylinder launches off of the motor will continue to run. Like you can take a piston out and it'll still run.
Dog, you put a piston to the block of Okay, we're gonna have to agree
You can
to disagree in this.
Yeah, that's why they run them on like airboats and stuff. Is if you lose a cylinder, you just take the jug off of it and you can run that thing home.
Nice.
It's gonna throw some oil. Like, it's not pretty, but you can do it.
I hope none of that happens while I'm in the air. All right. So we talked about Kobe in November. They lost their minds last year. So hopefully this year we'll get a pretty good push of them as well. That was a lot of fun.
Wahoo.
What you can't shoot. Nah, I'm gonna skip. I'm gonna save that.
Save
All right,
Wahoo.
fine. Let's go Wahoo. Why not?
Just touch on it. You know, it's a wintertime push.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking for Wahoo in the wintertime.
Wahoo in the winter is definitely like the highest target, right? Like
For
that.
sure.
That's the one that people want to get more than anything. They're a little harder to target. You know, I guess you can target it by paying attention to the moon. People try to get it around the full moon.
Full moon or new moon. I've heard both of those things produce good wahoo fishing. I think full moon is generally considered ideal.
And they can be thick, man, but it's a little bit hit or miss.
Same with cobia too.
Yeah.
You get days where there's a ton of them everywhere, and then the next day it's shut down.
Yeah.
And then the day after that, it's on fire again.
Yep. And people will
2
travel.
days here, you know.
Yeah. People will travel for wahoo, which is awesome, man. Me and you did a trip down to Key West. That's a really cool trip.
Mm-hmm.
But
I shot my first wahoo in Key West.
Nice. It's something important to set expectations for. No. To set expectations for. Because you hop on, like, I know if I got a trip coming up or we're even targeting them just off Stewart or Jupiter, I'm, like, watching Instagram reels or YouTube videos and just getting fired up because they're shooting them point blank, it feels like.
Yeah.
Like, you can't mess this up. And then you get out there, man, and maybe you see one. You're like, what the hell? Like, what am I doing differently than that they're doing? And
highlight reels get you fired up.
And that's exactly what they are. They're highlight reels. And so I'm always asking myself, like, what are the pros doing differently than I'm doing? And the answer is, what they're doing differently is they're out there every damn day. I'm like, you wanna shoot fish like that, you can. Just get out there every day, because some of those days are gonna be fish in a bucket, and some of those days are gonna be a desert.
Got to soak for the stoke.
Profound. Put that on a t-shirt, dude.
That might be a good t-shirt.
Yeah.
Soak for the stoke. I forgot who. I think Killian is who I heard that from.
Nice. That's definitely sounds like something Killian would say. I love Killian. I haven't seen that guy in a while. He still got that little dog, right? Runto.
Yeah.
How old is Runto now?
I have no idea.
You could tell me Runto's 37.
He's about this big.
Yeah, right? You could tell me that dog was 37. I'd believe you. You could tell me he was 3 years old. I'd believe you. I don't know. So cobia and wahoo are definitely the things that people are targeting. If you're going for wahoo and you really want to do it, go with a guide. Especially if you're like gonna make a trip out of it.
If you've never done it, if you like really don't know what you're doing, don't go out, because then you really are gonna be soaking for the stoke.
And
a lot more soak than stoke.
And that's a good point. And then that's why I'm saying go with a guide, not because you can't do it yourself. You absolutely can. But there's going to be a big learning curve to it, especially landing the wahoo, shooting it and then landing it.
And bring the right gear.
And bringing the right gear makes a huge difference.
If you want to go target wahoo, get a breakaway setup. Get a gun that's got some decent range to it.
Yeah.
You don't need a super long range gun like a massive blue water tuna gun, but it ain't going to hurt you. You know, you're going to obviously sacrifice a little bit of maneuverability going with a bigger gun, but if you're targeting wahoo, you don't want to have to pass up on an opportunity because that fish is just out of range.
For sure.
There's a reason people shoot those bigger guns for wahoo.
For sure.
Breakaway setup, slip tip, bigger gun, nice float line setup, something with a little bit of give in it, not too much. You don't need to go crazy, but a little bit of bungee to it. Just the plain old vinyl float lines work great. They've got just enough give.
Yeah.
Don't go out and try to shoot wahoo on reels. Can it be done? For sure. There's guys that have the wahoo on reel process dialed in really, really well. But if you haven't shot your first wahoo yet, just use the right stuff.
Yeah.
Maximize your chances of success.
That's it. It's already hard enough to get the timing right and get yourself in front of one and to get a good shot on one. You've done everything right. Why sell yourself short by trying to save, $20 on a breakaway? Like a breakaway setup, you can do a breakaway setup super cheap.
Yeah. So do it right.
And I think that's where going with a guide is too. It's that shortening that learning curve to basically flat. You go with a guide 2, maybe 3 times, you're going to have the system dialed, and then you can take that knowledge back to wherever you are or drag your boat around to other places. When that's for anything where the guide services are offered, you go with a guide the first couple times as a beginner, and man, you just whacked off a decade off of your learning curve.
Yeah.
Like an insane amount off of your learning curve.
For sure.
Especially like if it's in an area that's relatable to an area that you can access, and whether that's like, yeah,
and you can definitely go out and get lucky your first time without really knowing much about it, because they're really like the technique of blue water diving isn't much of a technique. It's like go out to deep water and sit there
and chum
and see what happens.
Yeah.
They're choosing where you want to be at, like why you'd want to be in this area versus that. Like there's definitely more tactic to it, and that's the part that you don't know getting into it on your own. But you can get lucky. You go out and shoot a wahoo on your first time ever doing it, for sure. It's not like we're not telling you that you can't go do it. And if that's your only option,
that's
definitely
way better than sitting on the couch.
Way better than sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
But if you really want to maximize your success, go get one of those guys. There's a bunch of awesome dudes in Key West that do it. I don't want to like promote anyone in particular.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
I don't think you and it's like you're saying, it's easy enough for like a person who's never done it before to do it. If you're a consistent guide, even if you're like consistent rod and reel / spearfishing, like if you're on the water enough, you're gonna get
where to go.
You know where to go.
No.
And I think that asking those guides that question of like, hey, why do we go here? Like, hey, what's the water temperature here? Like, what, like why do we go over here and not somewhere else? Like.
And depending on the guide, some may be more or less willing to answer.
Well, it depends. If you're sitting there and you like click out your notepad and pen, and you're like, you like you have to make it conversational, right?
Yeah.
But I think a lot of guides are stoked on like teaching. I mean, I think there's a little bit of an ego stroke in there too of like,
don't bring a GPS with you.
Do not. Yeah, this guy, it's his living. Don't go and shoot fish out from under him.
Don't try to sneak a GPS out, because they've seen everywhere that people have tried to hide GPSs in their bags and their whatever.
Well, and it's just don't be a dick.
Well, they're also, I know at least all the guides that I know, if they suspect you of bringing a GPS and then confirm it, they're not going to say anything to you. They're just going to take you to shitty spots.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
They're not going to kick you off their boat. You're paying them.
Yeah.
They're just going to take you to crappy spots.
There you go.
So don't bring a GPS.
Yeah. And that's even if you have like the Garmin watch, like maybe dive a different watch.
There's some guides that won't let you dive a Garmin watch.
Yeah. Like they know that even if you're like, oh, I promise I won't. Okay.
They don't care.
Yeah.
So don't bring it.
Leave
They
it in the
literally will say, it says it on their website, like no Garmin watches.
Yeah.
Which I don't blame them.
Nope. But you can. That doesn't mean you can't learn a absolute boat ton of stuff. And
even without asking questions, you're gonna learn.
Yeah.
Just watching, observing the process, seeing what's going on, what goes into it. You're gonna learn a ton.
Nice. I love asking questions, man. Just because it's it blows me away with like how
ask away.
How
I'm just saying.
In tune with it they are. Like they're like gonna have like real answers typically.
Yeah.
They're not guessing. Like it's cool to see people masters of their craft.
Truly.
So you can shoot cobia, shoot wahoo. Those are both high target species. What you can't shoot is hogfish.
Closing soon. What's the date?
End of October.
End
And shoot
of
them through
October.
October. So from as of recording, yet about 2 weeks.
I've been seeing people shooting them lately out here.
Man,
off of West Palm.
we interviewed that FWC marine biologist about when they changed the regulations on hogfish, and he's like, man, just give it a little bit of time, and the biomass is gonna just go exponential.
Yeah. Since the rules have changed,
I see way more and way more big ones.
yeah, I've shot 2 really nice hogfish in Jupiter since the rules have changed.
Nice.
And I haven't shot. I don't think I've even seen a hogfish my entire life diving in Jupiter. And then, let's say, 2 years after they made the rule change, I shot my first one. And then a year after that, I shot like a good, nice 5 or 6 pound hogfish off of Jupiter.
Yeah, and it's not that they weren't there. It's just tank divers have pushed them over the ledge into freaking super deep water.
Yeah.
So,
Which is still a thing.
yeah, 100%. But because of those restrictions, well, now like more are getting passed, so more are coming shallower, which is nice into free diveable range.
Yeah.
Grouper season's about to end as well. That's December. That ends in December. So January 1, you can no longer shoot grouper,
Nice.
but you can target them whole first half of winter. And in targeting grouper, you're gonna get shots at mutton and other other big snappers. So.
And that late season grouper is way better than people give it credit for. That colder water, those grouper tend to come in shallower. Grouper they like a certain temperature range. They don't want to be super cold, but they don't want to be hot. So when they're in the summertime and they're pushed out real far, a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of the times, sometimes that cold water pushes them in shallow. You'll find grouper in spots that you'd never think you'd see a grouper because it just gets hit a million times or whatever. And just that day, they're like, I'm coming up in here. But late season grouper, don't sleep on it.
No. And another thing that people sleep on in the winter is lobster. People go lose their dang minds during mini season and then never put a snare in their hand or a net in their hand all winter long.
Big lobsters in the winter.
Yeah, stuff's moving around, and
I feel like your average lobster size is a little bigger in the wintertime.
I believe that.
We've gone through a lot of molt cycles.
Yeah,
from mini season.
I think it's like every 90 days they molt something crazy like that.
Well, with the moon phases, I think, right?
That makes sense.
Full moons.
Yeah.
I always notice all my crustaceans in my aquarium molt on full moons.
Huh. There you go. So a ton of lobster. There are a lot of bugs on mini season, so like I get it. They got a couple month break from commercial guys, but that doesn't mean that they're not there. There's commercial guys diving all year, catching bugs. You can do it too. And
there's that much less pressure recreationally on them,
right?
Everybody, the water cools off a little bit. Less people are in the water because of that. Like the lobsters aren't leaving. They're there the whole year round.
For sure.
Get out there and get them.
Get them. We just had a great lobster crawl. They were all over the place.
All over the place.
Some really, really cool video came out on Instagram.
That's always wild, watching them like
single file marching.
Yeah, like touching each other.
Yeah.
Like face to tail.
Yeah.
It's weird how they, like we're talking about essentially an insect.
Yeah.
That just has somewhere wired into them like, hey, we all got to make this march. And they just line up on each other.
It is cool. I've only ever seen it at night, so all these videos of daytime crawls are awesome. Stoked to see all that. But so they're out here all winter. And another reason why you're saying like they get less pressure is weather. So in the summer, you're saying someone asks you to go diving, you're like, all right, let me check my schedule. In the winter, someone asks you if you want to go diving, you say, okay, let me check the weather.
Yeah.
Weather windows are a lot trickier in the winter. Although I do think that as South Floridians, we're a little spoiled. It's like, oh no, there might be a white cap, we can't go. Where, you know, like our bad days are other places like best days.
Yeah.
So so that in mind, like it's diveable a lot more than people give it credit for.
Sure.
But let's say you don't want to go out there. The intercoastal diving where it's legal and safe is awesome, man. Like shooting sheep's head and all that Uncle Barnacle stuff, man.
On that barnacle grind.
On that barnacle life. Pays huge dividends. And in the winter, those sheep's head are out, man. They're everywhere in the winter. And those things taste so good.
They are great.
I think they're just insanely slept on.
They are great.
We did a taste test between sheep's head, blind, just fried up a bunch of it, but blind taste test between sheep's head and snook, and a lot of people picked sheep's head.
I could see it. It's a little whiter.
For sure. But it's like, it's just
yeah.
Look, you could tell they looked different, but you couldn't really tell which was which.
Yeah.
And it was like a lot. There was maybe a dozen people, and it was a lot of like girlfriends and stuff. So like not everyone was like, you had like people that wouldn't necessarily know. Like if you bit into it, like they're different texturally too. So I could kind of tell.
Snook always have a little bit more of like a bassy flavor to them.
Probably fair. They are like a saltwater bass, man. Some of the best snook lures are bass lures, like little twitching minnows and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But you gotta take the hooks off; they'll straighten out the hooks. But
as well as a lot of like bass fishermen that discover snook fishing, never go bass fishing again in their life. They just get addicted to snook. If you're addicted to bass fishing, you are going to love snook fishing.
I had a friend of mine, Adam McPherson, who's still out there somewhere. His brother was a competitive bass fisherman. His little brother, he was like 14 and like doing like local circuit bass tournaments, and we got him into snook fishing. It was the same thing. I don't think he ever fished a bass tournament again. You know, but it was funny watching him like doing like little flipping bait casters and stuff out to him and setting up on him just like, I mean, he had a whole bass. He's like wearing like it was like a BMX jersey, you know, like a freestyle motocross jersey, you know, like. Bass fisherman just got a different swag to it.
Triton across the chest.
Exactly. Gulp stink bait, you know, like it's a whole different swag than I was used to. But
I started using bait
boy
casters.
Could fish too. That's not taking anything away from bass fishermen. Those guys can fish lights out.
They make excellent snook fishermen because snook have like a similar mentality. Like they're can be very aggressive. Like,
and they're like flipping it under docks and like skipping it under docks. Like
no, for sure. Not taking anything away from bass fishing. I'm just saying they try snook fishing and they never go back. Yeah. It's like it's like the same thing, same style, similar style, I should say. But the fish are way bigger, way more aggressive, can be way more aggressive. I guess like
fight more. I'd say fight more aggressively though. Like jumps, big head shakes,
like run like crazy. Yeah. Tail walk across the water. Yeah. Like it's fun.
Dude, if you got a 10-pound bass, you'd put it on your wall. You'd tell that story every day. You get a 10-pound snook. You're like, yeah, that's a good one. You know.
It's not even like.
Yeah.
Snook fishing is fun, man.
That's a big difference between Gulf Coast and Atlantic Coast snook fishermen.
Inches versus pounds.
Inches versus pounds. Exactly right.
What do you use?
Talking inches. I'm from this side.
Oh, you're saying Atlantic side they
do inches.
They do inches. Gulf they do pounds.
Yeah. Because everything's like inches they're within like a 6-inch window. You're not getting. You ain't pulling out a 20-inch snook out of 10,000 islands. But you're gonna pull out 10,000 of them. They're freaking everywhere. All right, we're way off topic.
Looking for those 50s.
But sheep's head are
in.
Are in.
Boom.
Mahara.
The wintertime intercoastal sheep's head school is some of the most fun spearfishing. I would venture to say the most fun spearfishing you can do in Florida.
Dude, it is the
Wintertime
most fun
sheepshead.
spearfishing you can have while keeping your snorkel out of the water. That's a fact right there. That is a fact. Yeah, it's super approachable. It's super easy. Just time of the tide. The viz is always mid, like it's never great, but if you time it right, it's never bad.
That's the best part about a sheep's head is you can see him in 100-foot viz and you can see him in 1-foot viz.
Yeah, exactly. And you can, like, you want to use the gun, go use the gun. You want to use like your lionfish pole spear, like you might be able to get it done with that too.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I love shooting sheep's head in the wintertime in the intercoastal.
Any other intercoastal fish that you go for?
The colder season in general tends to push cuberas around. Now,
in by the Palm Beach Inlet for sure.
yeah, I can't divulge too much information because I feel like a lot of the most popular spots for spearing cuberas inshore are not legal to spearfish on, so I will refrain from commenting on those. But they're
stay legal, stay safe.
absolutely goes without saying.
If you're in the channel in the inlet, you deserve to get your butt run over.
Yeah, so
Maybe not. That has happened to people, and I feel terrible for them. But like,
be smart,
be smart.
keep it legal. You can find them, and they are definitely there. So
Yeah.
keep an eye out for them. But they're not. They're going to give you. You are barely going to see them. They're going to be on the edge of your visibility. Most of the time that I've seen them, I've just seen their eyeball, like in the murk. Just go. They come in, do that like, and then they're gone.
Totally. Yellowfin mahara, sand perch,
Year round, baby.
money. Those things are so good.
Year round.
Yeah.
Things a tater chip.
Things taste good.
An intercoastal potato chip.
Are you allowed to shoot moonfish?
Yeah.
Moonfish are tasty, dude.
That's a potato chip.
That's an extra crispy. many a night snook fishing have turned into moonfish nights, though.
Dude. I
You call them a
I get
moonfish?
down on a moonfish.
Is it a look down? What are they really called?
It's called
horse
a look
head?
down.
You ever call them a horse head?
A horse head?
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
We had a guy on our block, old timer, called them horse heads.
I've never heard a horse head. Everybody that I know calls them a moonfish.
Yeah.
Everybody from out of state that comes here, like you go to a bar,
Yeah.
like a waterfront bar, and they're all over the
Yeah,
dock lights and boat lights and stuff. And if they know what they are, they're like, "Oh, is that a look down?" I'm like,
What are they looking down their nose? Their eyes are at the top of their head. They're kind of look ups.
you're looking down at that moonfish.
You're looking down on those people calling it a look down. That's for sure.
Yeah, they are the look downs.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, moonfish are. Not only are they kind of exciting to shoot, because they're just weird and like.
Oh, they're definitely weird.
And they fight a little harder than you'd expect them to, because
For
they're
sure.
just like wide.
Yeah, they know how to use that body.
Yeah, it's like pulling up a little. I was gonna say dinner plate, but it's more like pulling up like a cocktail plate, like
Yeah.
a salad plate.
Salad plate.
But man, they eat well.
They eat so good.
So well. You get down on a moonfish.
You ever eaten a jack?
What kind?
Not butter jack. Any other kind other than butter jack.
I've eaten blue runner, which I would kind of classify in the jack family.
Yeah, that's fair.
I have eaten jack crevalle,
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
which I know is what you're referring to. But to be fair, I've never eaten fresh jack crevalle.
That probably makes a difference. I imagine if fresh is bad, old's going to be worse.
No, I mean, the only jack crevalle I've had was jack crevalle jerky.
I'm pretty sure that doesn't count.
Provided by my dear friend Nicholas Bailey.
What a friend to have.
And
just
he
slanging Jack Carvel jerky.
Twice he has brought me Jack Carvel jerky and swore to me that it is fantastic. Says you'll never believe it. So good. It's so good. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna try it. And if this is disgusting, I'm never talking to you again. Which obviously didn't go very far because I'm still talking to him. I did try it. It was horrendous.
Yeah. I tried fish jerky once. I was on took out a charter boat for Marlin, and it's store bought. We're in Hawaii. I used to live out in Hawaii, and Marlin jerky is like a big thing out there.
Yeah.
And you can buy like store bought. Like at the gas station, you have like beef jerky, Marlin jerky. And the guides had it and like cracked it open or like touting it. And we were they were talking it up beforehand, and they're like, you know what, I got a bag. You want to try it? I was like, sure. They opened the bag, and you ever left bait in a cooler before? It's about the scent that came out of that thing.
Yeah.
You know, and it is literally like if you left some squid on a hook on a fishing rod, like you didn't take the bait off your bottom fishing rig, you know, and you came back to it.
That air dried jerky.
It ain't kind of like that. It is that.
Yeah.
And so the scent came out, and obviously I shouldn't be playing poker because the guy looked at my face. He was like, "Don't worry, it tastes good." And I was like, "All right, man, all right." So he takes like gnaws off a big old off of a strip one and hands it to me. I'm like, "All right." Take a big old bite, man. It tasted exactly like it smelled. Just old, dried out fish.
Yeah, you know, in the fish world, as far as edible fish dishes go, if it smells like that, it ain't gonna taste good.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as something that, if something that like truly reeks like bait fish funk to it, there's no way that's gonna taste good. No way.
Just in general, that's a pretty good rule of thumb when it comes to food. Like, if stuff usually tastes how it smells, you know.
If the scent has like a warmth to it,
but then you get weird ones, like weird cheeses and stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
But no, if you're like,
but even like, dog, I don't know, people get so fired up over funky ass cheeses. They taste exactly how they smell. Like, they taste funky.
Yeah, but the smell is off-putting and the taste is endearing.
Is it?
There's definitely some things like that. Have you ever used fish sauce?
Yeah.
So fish sauce smells terrible.
Yeah, you know how they make that crap?
Yeah, but
you don't want to know.
The way I've seen it is just good. Fish in a wood box left out.
Oh yeah.
And then they just they don't even press it. They just drain off the fish juice after a couple of days.
Let it settle.
Yeah. But fish sauce does not smell good. Fish sauce doesn't really taste good. But in dishes, it's freaking phenomenal.
That umami.
Deep umami.
Deep umami.
Yeah.
It don't take much to get to it, too.
No.
A little goes a long way.
No.
Like, same with oyster sauce, too. That's kind of similar, right?
It's just thick fish sauce.
Yeah, I guess.
That stuff comes out like mayonnaise. All right. Let's end this podcast, man.
Okay.
Recap. Christmas giveaway. Code double roller. Carbon fins, all kinds of good stuff.
All kinds.
Friendsgiving, BYOB, BYOG. Bring your own grub. Let's come hang out. Hang out with old friends. Maybe meet a new friend, depending on how much beer you bring.
Yeah.
You know. Water's getting colder.
Directly proportionate to amount of beer.
Yeah. Right. I'm wearing a 3 mil. Eric's rocking a 5. You can't go wrong.
A 5, baby.
You know, you got to think water temperatures averaging 71 in the winter. So, and that's off of Jupiter. You go north or south even a little bit, it's gonna probably get colder. Cobia, November, man, get freaking thick.
Follow the water temperature.
Hogfish and grouper are kind of out in the winter. There's a late, just not out, but be very careful with seasons.
Hit that late grouper season.
And if the weather's Because the weather's cruddy, man. Go shoot yourself a sheep's head. Yellowfin Mahara.
Get in it.
If you're feeling brave, go get yourself some Nick Bailey Jack jerky.
No, don't do that.
Nice. All right, guys. Well, we back. Thanks for being back with us.
Definitely. We'll see you guys in the next episode.